Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the universe. It is Real Talk with Kathy. So, you know what? No one's told you. No one's told anybody what dating is like after going through trauma. You know, I don't know how it is for everybody else out there, but I do know that on commercials and advertisements, they advertise, call this number. Call this number. You're safer that way. And you call that number. And they help you get out of it. And that's about it. It's a broken system. They give you numbers. They don't help you. You have to actually help yourself. And it's pretty much up to your support system, because I don't know if they play favorites. I don't know if it goes in. I don't know. I don't have those answers. I'm just as confused as the next victim out there. I can tell you that my abuse videos are not just for females. They are non-gender specific, because men can be abused as well. And they're more apt to not speak out than women are. So I don't know. I don't know why they expect you to reach out to a broken system. But some of us do, because we believe in that system. Then you get through the abuse, or so you think, and then you start dating again. You think, okay, I got all the tools, I got everything. I don't know where to look on here, so if you see my eyes darting, it's because I'm used to being able to look right at the camera and know where you can see me looking at you. On here, I'm looking in the middle, and it looks like I'm looking off to the side. And I am truly trying to look into each and every one of your guys' eyes to say that while the system is broken, there are people out there that are willing to help. And the louder you speak, the more you'll be heard. I know it sounds strange, but you do. You have to find your voice. And if you can't find your voice, find someone that will be willing to speak out for you on your behalf. Now, the dating part after, you think that you have all these tools, and yet you still seem to find somebody who has, they're just as broken as you are, but their tendencies seem to mirror and reflect the same person that you just escaped or left. And you start thinking, well, I started thinking that maybe it was me. Maybe it's what I attract. Maybe it's, do I really enjoy this? You hear all these horror, videos from other people and you're like, well, you start questioning yourself. I don't believe that. I do believe that there are people out there that can pick up on others. I do believe that there are truly gifted people out there that can see sensitivity, kindness, and come right in and take advantage of it. My most recent was definitely one of them. in the time that I had left my abuser, I spent a lot of time being single, taking care of me. And everywhere I turned, that's all I saw was potential ex-abuser. I opened myself up to the potential of dating again. And it was around the time that I was going through a lot of things. I had been battling court with my housing, trying to keep my dog, and because I didn't feel safe. My ex-abuser still was showing up at my house, and I didn't want to bleed on another person. Well, I started talking to a guy, and he ended up showing up at my house. Now, under normal circumstances, that would sound great. But he didn't show up to be the hero. He showed up to use the situation to his advantage. He tried to manipulate and monopolize the situation by figuring maybe it could be an easy in. And that's not what I'm about. That's what I've never been about. A lot of the things that he was saying when he was here kind of set off warning flags, not red flags, but warning flags. And I parted ways with the guy. What started out to be purely friendship. But then I did connect with someone. I thought it was going to be a wonderful thing. And it was a year ago today, as a matter of fact. And it turned out that I ended up having more turmoil and ups and downs with this man than I have had in any other relationship I've ever had in my life. It was filled with nothing but excuses. It actually started out with, we were very interested in each other, at least I thought. And then it turned, the turning point was when he had told me he was still in love with his ex. At that point, I felt that he was not ready for a relationship, which in turn got us into an argument, which in turn got us to part ways for a little while. Because he felt that it was due to my insecurities. You don't tell somebody that you still love your ex. You don't do that. If you're still in love with your ex, then you should take yourself off the dating pool, because that puts a lot of it just puts a lot of insecurities on somebody, especially somebody who just came out of a relationship where they're not feeling like they're number one. They were treated like an animal, less than actually. And then we started talking again, and it turns out that this person would rather have the attention of 1,000 than the love of one. And it's fine, as long as you're honest about it. Now, we had our ups and downs throughout this entire year. Those are just 2 points. But then it became a very toxic environment, a very toxic situation, a very toxic relationship, to where at any point in time with the flip of a switch, he would go from being this really nice, caring guy who understood where I was coming from to this evil, mean person I didn't recognize. He has an alcohol problem. The more he drinks, the meaner he gets. And he doesn't care. He never did. I think he was someone who was more into the idea of being in love than he knew how to love. And the pivotal moment for me was the moment he broke up with me on my birthday. It was after a week long of nothing but negative comments, negative conversations throughout the entire day. His attitude changed, his personality changed, like that. And anytime I asked him for something nice after all the negative stuff that he was saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not good enough to do this, you're not good enough to do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't say that, you need to do this more, you need to do that less. After all of that, it'd be like, do you have anything nice to say about me? And then he'd get defensive and argumentative and, of course, flip the script. And it ended up, he never said a nice thing to me in the week and a half. He ended up having my anxiety levels going to the point where I was walking on eggshells. This time I was throwing up in the toilet. The anxiety got so bad that that's what was happening. And, yeah. Did it hurt? I don't think the breakup itself hurt. I think what hurts the most is that I gave this man more chances than he deserved, and that the karma or the awakening for me, it took being broken up with on a monumental birthday in order for me to realize that this man was not good for me. No matter what he said, he was never going to change. He was never recognizing that he needed to be the better for himself. Never mind for anybody else. He just needed to be a better person, and he wasn't. I don't know if it was because I didn't bring it out in him. I just brought out all those negative thoughts and feelings. I don't know. What I do know is that in a relationship, no matter what kind of relationship it is, whether it's a friendship or a significant othership, there should be, you should make the person, you should be bringing out the better in that person, not the worst. So when you bring out the worst in somebody, you kind of need to take a step back and think, is this person right for me? Are they bringing out the best in you? And I noticed that I wasn't being the best, because I started my videos. I started doing these on YouTube, and I realized that I stopped these things to take care of him, to support him, to be there for him, to be what he needed me to be. But what was he being to me? Was he being supportive? Was he being that monumental person I needed? Was he bringing out the best in me? I found no. I be careful with this too, because these certain sentences and stuff can be, not always, but can be very pivotal in a relationship. When you say, you don't know when the next time you're going to be able to talk, that other person takes that sentence as in, well, I'm going to talk to you for as often as I can, because when that time comes that I can't talk to you, you know, then yeah. My friends started suffering. My home started suffering. Everything started suffering, all because I didn't know if I was going to hear from him. Very pivotal. So then you start thinking, are you ready for a relationship? Is it something that you want? What do you want out of the relationship? Is it selfish? Maybe. We all have a bit of selfishness in us. You know, I'm going to say this straight out. I've heard it from a lot of people sitting there saying how everybody has a bit of narcissism in them. No. Everybody does have a bit of selfishness in them, because you have to think of yourself for a change. You have to think of yourself, because if you don't, who's going to? And you have to love yourself. Once you start loving yourself, it starts showing to other people. And that's the way it should be. So take the time, love yourself. And I think when you love yourself, you start focusing on what your likes and your wants and your desires. And as long as you don't stray from that, the right one will come at the right time. Just don't lose sight on your goals. Don't lose sight on who you are. Because even though I had this failure, I did take something out of this. And what I took out of it was the right one will encourage you to be the best that you can be. Not put you down, not use you as a step stool. Remember that, people. So don't date until you're ready. And always pay attention to what your gut is saying. Your gut's not going to steer you wrong. If there's something off about the person, chances are there is. It's off. And respect yourself. Trust yourself. Seriously, trust yourself. If you don't get anything out of this, trust who you are and who you are becoming. Because if you don't, you may end up in the wrong situation all over again. And we don't want that. We want to be a better person for ourselves, for just ourselves. So with that being said, please have a happy and safe Monday. Have a wonderful day and keep smiling, because I know I will.